I just stuck a bull. This bull has been sounding gnarly, nasty. On my right, there's two bulls fighting. I can see them going, their bodies moving back and forth between the trees. And then all of a sudden I hear this. There's another bull right there. Walking through those aspens.
I shot him. You didn't hear that?
No. We both just shot the same bull.
I shot him first.
He shot him first. Oh my gosh. What a heck of a pursuit, dude. All freaking day.
When your buddy calls you, says you got a buck down. And what does he got? A buck down.
Look what I found.
What a sweet coos, man. Opening day, heck yeah. Way to go, Steve.
Arizona Archery Club is a premier partner with Bowhunting AZ. When it comes to attention to detail and a fiery passion, Arizona Archery Club brings it all to the table. With all the latest bows and archery equipment, you can demo every single model in person free of charge in their multiple demo rooms. Walk through the process with an experienced bow tech and see which bow is right for you without the sales pressure. Their indoor archery range offers air-conditioned lanes where you can shoot out to 40 yards. Take this awesome opportunity to hone in your accuracy and technique. When you visit, be sure to mention that you're a listener to the Bowhunting AZ podcast. Let's all support local. National Automotive Repair is a locally owned and operated auto repair shop in the heart of Phoenix, Arizona. Jake McLaughlin and his team operate their business with a foundation of honesty, quality, and integrity. From routine oil changes to larger mechanical repairs, National Automotive can solve your issues and have you back in operation. The shop is located right off of I-17 and Thunderbird off Sweetwater Avenue, or call Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 at 602-978-3278. Real estate agents, are you looking to make your listing stand out? Arizona Listing Media has been transforming real estate listings since 2013 with their 5-star Google-rated services. Arizona Listing Media offers stunning photography, captivating drone footage, immersive 3D tours, and engaging video reels to showcase your properties at their very best. Are you ready to elevate your marketing game? Visit ArizonaListingMedia.com and book your session today. Let's make your next listing unforgettable. Siamo Enanye Eyamba Asmanya Babarisiamo Eyamba Umbawa Abumbawa In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. We are Bumbawe.
Yeah, Hakuna Matata, man.
Yeah. Welcome, everyone, to the Bowhunting AZ podcast.
This is a special one.
It is a special one.
This is a special edition.
It is a special edition. Today's episode is going to be 10 days in the wild, hunting and marketing adventures in Africa.
Africa.
If
you couldn't tell by the intro.
Don't they call it? What do they call it? The Dark Continent, I think is what they call it.
It's messed up, dude.
It's not like, just not like that.
Dude, they do say that, though, yeah.
They do call it that.
The Dark Continent or something like that.
I don't know why, but whatever.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
Because it's probably hot and nasty and you'd think like the Dark Continent.
I mean...
Oh, maybe the Black Beast? The Death, the Death Beast or whatever, the Black Death?
Oh, the Cape Buffalo?
The Cape Buffalo.
Could be. That's a pretty iconic animal over there.
Yeah. That elephant.
Yes, sir.
The elephants.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I don't know what that noise was, but...
the podcast is coming out a little later than some of the content has, but if you follow us, you know that I went to Africa and did a little trip over there. So this episode is going to be basically breaking that down and kind of talking about it. doing a little more detail oriented on just what it was like and all that jazz.
Yeah, man.
How you been, man?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, I've been
Yeah,
good,
it's been
dude.
a hot minute.
It's been a hot minute. Not as hot as this episode. But
Ooh.
yeah, you like how that went? Oh,
Yeah, I like
was
that.
good.
Yeah. Oh, wait, where's the, let's get back to this. No, wait, no,
Oh,
no,
come
wrong
on,
one,
dude.
wrong one. No, hold on. There it is. Hey. It's like we said, it's been a hot minute. I don't remember what buttons do
He's
what.
over here trying to make me like a fairy or something.
You fairy.
Yeah. Holy cow.
You fairy. Yeah. So thanks for joining, everybody. We appreciate it. Sorry for the little hiatus. You know, we got other things going on in life, and podcasting comes second for sure. So,
Yep.
but we're back and going to be knocking out a bunch of content. If you follow us, you know that we got drawn this year for elk. So we'll do.
We
an
talking
episode
about
on
that. Yeah.
Heck yeah. A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that,
We
man.
got Texas to cover because we went to Texas too. Did
Went to
our
Texas.
our bow hunting camp that we did. And
You got OTC that you did.
Yep. OTC hunt from
That's gonna be
December,
another one.
January. That was December 23, January of 24.
Yep.
And yeah, we're just getting back into it. So this episode basically is going to cover the 10-day trip that I took to Africa, kind of what it was like. It'll be 2 parts. Most of these episodes going forward will be 2 parts just to make it easier on us and for recording.
To keep you guys interested.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, we'll kind of jump into segment 1. I'm going to kind of let Jake take the reins of teeing it up and everything.
Kinda call me DJ McLaughlin, son. Mac Dizzle. You know what I'm saying? I can't. Yeah, Mac Dizzle.
Not,
But anyway.
not, you won't be as cool as DJ Spin Laden though.
Yeah, that fool drops bombs, dog. He drops bombs. You know what I mean?
So
Right.
we were on an elk hunt and we were at a lodge and we just pulled up the
Going over
Wi-Fi to plug into the Wi-Fi or whatever. And I see this Wi-Fi name pop up. It says DJ Spin Laden. He just died laughing.
Dropping bombs, dude. It was so funny. We died. We'll never let that down.
Yeah, that'll forever
Hopefully that
be.
dude's there this year.
Yeah,
That'd be awesome.
that'd be funny.
Dropping. Oh, shoot.
Oh shoot!
DJ Spin Laden up in here, boy.
I wonder if he has an Instagram.
He probably does.
He does.
We should be tagging him.
I'm gonna try and find-
Tagging him
yeah.
like, hey, dude, you
He's gonna
don't
be
even
like, "What?
realize.
What's this random tag from Bowhunting
You do
AZ?
not even realize what you brought into our lives, man. All right. But well, back to the topic here. What everybody came for, right? Dude, Africa, man. So
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's usually a once in a lifetime place to go, and you got to do this somewhat on a marketing but a business trip, more or less, with a little bit of pleasure, right?
Yep.
So I mean, really, what was the experience like, man? You know, environment, everything.
Yeah. Man, I mean, as hunters, I think we kind of all have this idea around what Africa's like. Like, it kind of seems like once you level up to a certain point in bow hunting or your hunting adventure, the last thing to really do is go hunt Africa.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
And so I had this opportunity to go for work. And so specifically to market hunting over in Africa. And so went over there for 10 days. I guess very eye-opening experience. Like, you come back and you hear these different things about Africa and what it's like. And I guess in the positive sense of everything, all of that stuff is true. And it's true in a very cool way.
Like environment wise, or like culture, or what? You know,
All of it. Yeah. There is the African culture. Well, there's 2 different cultures there, really. There's the South. I'm just gonna be honest, the white South African culture.
the South.
Yeah. And then,
Okay.
you know, the British
Right.
colonists
Yeah, yep,
that live
yep.
there now. And, you know, there's that culture. And then there's
tribal.
the tribal culture. And they're both intertwined very deeply, but they're both very unique at the same time. And it's really cool.
So they probably both benefit from each other, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And I'll cover more of that, you know, into what hunting brings
Yeah,
and stuff. But very cool. And they're both very what's the word? They're both very excited to share their culture with you, which makes it even cooler. Like, you can tell it's weird. They're not jaded about talking about it, and I'm sure they repeat themselves a lot.
Okay.
But they get you can see they get excited every single time you ask them questions about things. Either one.
Like history and all that stuff? Or?
History, yeah, but like even like we're talking about rugby. And I mean, dude,
Cool.
the British South African folks,
Right.
they get pumped, man. You start talking, oh yeah, right. Their eyes light up. They all play it. They're all like adamant about it.
That's cool.
I mean, they're kind of, you can tell all those guys over there are cut from a different cloth. There's some big mofos,
way.
they're stocky. They got tree trunks for legs.
I mean, that's different, man. Yeah. Out here, we're all
And they're telling-
accustomed to driving and, fast food, and they're out there surviving, man.
Yeah, 100%. But they're like, oh yeah, you should play rugby. I'm like, no, dude, I'll die. Like, oh no, you'll be fine. You do great. No, I'm good.
I might be like do they got a goalie?
Yeah.
I might be try for a goalie. They don't get hit, right?
Right. That's like one of my favorite commercials I think I've ever seen. And it really like speaks, I think, truth to what rugby is like. Is there is an old Foster's commercial.
Okay.
And it shows this like jacked rugby player from the back.
Right.
And he puts a Band-Aid on the back of his head, slaps himself in the head a couple times and like hauls off and it says rugby helmet. And it's like making fun of American football. It's like, suck it up,
Yeah.
Like that's true. That's how rugby really is.
It is, man. Yeah, it's crazy.
So yeah, it's cool, man. Definitely an eye opener. Actually, let me plug this book. Where is it? Sue Tidwell has this awesome book called Cries of the Savannah. And I'm trying to remember it correctly. I believe she was actually somewhat of an anti-hunter or just agnostic to what Africa was like. And she came out with her husband to Africa that is an avid hunter. And she saw what it was. And she's super pro Africa hunting, like all this.
Yeah.
Now she's like hardcore about it.
That's like firsthand of seeing what conservation money, and efforts
Yeah.
do for populations against poachers, and to help thrive the population of animals, with
Yeah.
elephants and all those other creatures out there that are threatened,
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but yeah, man. I mean, is there any quintessential moment there that you can look back and just remember of like just a scenery, like, oh man, or is it pretty similar to out here?
Boy, trying to think of American landscapes that it compares to.
So not like Arizona, huh?
There are some spots that I would say are similar to like Sedona.
Sedona, yeah.
Yeah. I would say, I was there during their winter, so all the leaves were gone. But they were like, if you're here during the summer months,
It's green.
you cannot see through. It's like the bush is so thick.
That's cool.
It's so thick. And everything was dead. So all the leaves were gone. Not very many trees had leaves. So you could see through the brush to an extent because it was just the twigs that were left. Also, in terms of like some of the dangers and stuff of like the local animals, we were at a better time because during the summer months is when all the black mambas come out, all the different snakes, like the deadly
Reptiles
snakes.
and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
like if you get bit, you're dead. There's no going back. So we were there at a better time for that. But some of it's reminiscent to like Texas Hill Country, kind of.
Okay.
There's some spots where it does get pretty lush, especially like we hunted along the Limpopo River. The Limpopo River is super lush. So I kind of had it in my head that when I was going to Africa, I expected like arid and desert and like desolate, and
unless if you're in the jungle, obviously, then you start getting
that's true. I mean, you got the
different,
Congo. Yeah,
but
you got the Congo and stuff like that. But overall, like it's a very, very lush place, and I think I really underestimated that.
I think a lot of people would, to be honest. I would have. So
Massive amounts of agriculture. Good grief, especially in like Limpopo and stuff when we went there. So we took a 16-hour flight. So I think I went from Phoenix to New Jersey to Newark.
okay,
And basically Newark.
Jersey.
Yeah, Jersey. Well, it's like you can see downtown New York from there and stuff.
Yeah,
So you're pretty much
you're right there, right?
Yeah, on the border of New Jersey and New York. And took a I think it was like a 5 or 6 hour flight from here to there, from Phoenix to Newark, and then went from Newark to Johannesburg. And that was like a 16-hour flight.
I was going to say that's
15 or 16.
That's a sleeper there
Yeah,
for sure.
that was a long one. And it wasn't bad. I mean, you're not, in terms of, I tried as much to sleep. I
Right.
did work quite a bit because I was just excited and, the anticipation on the way there.
You're
Yeah.
sitting the whole dang time.
Making a shot list and all these things of what I need to do to get ready for my trip and all that for the work portion of it. And so it wasn't too terrible, I don't think, overall. I know some people are like, oh, the flight's the worst thing and stuff. I don't necessarily agree with that.
I think once you're on the plane, you have no other choice. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
So
you get meals, you get full meals, like they feed you, and the meals are actually really good.
okay.
You can get up and move around. There's plenty of space. These are big planes, so you got room to move up and get around. And there's like unlimited movies, and everybody's got your own TV screen. I watched all the John Wick series there and back, and I sat next to some people that didn't look like John Wick viewers, and
Like,
there's
my
a
God.
disclaimer at the beginning that says, "Please be considerate of the person
To
next
other
to you."
people.
And I had this like grandma on the way back.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm watching, John Wick's blowing people's brains out. I was dying laughing, but
That's funny.
it was cool. I got to watch a lot of that and listen to a bunch of podcasts and stuff too. So
Yeah, man.
yeah,
But so as far as hunting there versus hunting here, in the U.S. and in Africa, is there any kind of similarities or maybe even like, I guess, towards some like OTC stuff, but then maybe even something similarities towards like Texas, obviously.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that Africa probably was the most similar to Texas
Okay.
in the sense of that it's very much. I don't know.
So like an ambush type.
Yeah, ambush type. Most of it is high fence because it is private properties that are owned. But that correlation is vastly different from Texas, though, where people are like, "Oh, I don't want to hunt a 7,000 or 8,000 acre high fence ranch. That's not fair." Well,
Africa is.
here. It's an 80,000 acre ranch
Right.
that we hunt. So like it is literally just a contained ecosystem, and they don't introduce any animals ever. It's all self-sufficient herds.
Okay, that's cool.
Self-sufficient ecosystems. It's so big that the place that we went to had 5 full-time teams that were anti-poaching units that literally just patrolled the ranch the entire time because they have so much places to cover. In fact, we went to the very center of the ranch and there was like an observation tower, kind of like the fire towers that we have here.
Yeah.
And we went up there and the owner, Nico, was with us, and he goes, literally everything is like the Lion King. He's like, my kingdom as far as the eye can see. That's literally what he said to me. He's like, literally everything that you can see as far as the horizon is my ranch. And I was like, holy crap. Like,
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's
man.
massive.
Yeah. That's huge. That's,
So-
I mean, I don't know how true, but 80,000, man. I mean, that's got to be close to like a whole unit, here in
Yeah.
Arizona and stuff like that. So
Well, he said, and over there they use kilometers. He kept saying kilometers. I don't know what you mean, bro. Like,
dude, yards, bro.
how many miles?
Yards.
How many miles?
Ooh, let the miles.
Yep. But no, it's really cool.
But-
Yeah, a lot of ambush hunting for sure. It's
Okay.
going to be blind water hole centric.
Yeah. That's
And-
what I was wondering.
No feeders.
Okay.
Well, I'm trying to think. No feeders. They do put out some alfalfa,
Okay.
but only certain animals care about that. Some don't.
Right. So like for instance, like I'm just going off of a reference because of Texas, but because I've never been to Africa yet. But in Texas,
Yet.
but in Texas, some of the animals they could care less about feeders because there's so much grass and they're prairie animals, right?
Yeah.
They're prairie feeders.
It's like
so
the axis. The axis deer don't really
yeah,
care
and
about
all the
feeders.
different type of antelope that are out there, So I'm sure, obviously, that's kind of the same situation, right?
Yeah. Everything was definitely centered around water. Like water would be comparable to the feeders.
So water is
In Texas.
kind of comparable to what Arizona is in that sense,
Yep.
right?
Very similar in that. The only like major night and day difference of hunting there is it is time wise, like your time frame of hunting, the time of day
Okay.
that you go and all that is completely flipped.
So middle of the day.
You do not go out early in the morning.
Okay.
They're like, no, you sleep in, you stay, and you would sleep till like
You
9.
get a nice continental breakfast,
I mean,
getting all fat and sassy.
To be
and-
honest, you'd sit around the campfire at night and everybody would probably down their own bottle of wine because they have amazing wine. Their
Okay.
wine is very different from American wine. It's all grown on the southern Cape of Africa. So like the
cool.
southern Cape of South Africa is huge wine country and it's delicious. It's very different. So everyone drinks it. And there's honestly, that's the other thing too, is like I say, we were drinking our own bottle. Like I don't know if it's because they don't put nitrates in it or what it is, but like you don't have a hangover the next day. You just have a great time. You keep a good buzz. And
I've noticed that a lot with wine too. It's kind of like a joyous kind of a buzz, more or less, you know?
Yep. So we do that around the campfire at night and just have a good time, tell stories, or just talk to the guides and ask them questions and learn about the culture and all that stuff. And then you'd wake up, 8, 9 o'clock, go eat a good breakfast. All your meals are made for you and everything. And, you're rolling out. I think we'd try and be in the blind by like noon.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you hunt till about 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then you're done. That's it. Yeah. But literally in between that time, you'll have 60 animals come to the water hole.
So, this might take a little bit more time, but my thought process right off the bat is, all right, well, what are these animals doing then? Like, cause here, animals are, out at night, right? So we want to catch them first thing in the morning before they start going to bed. And then, during elk season or deer or mule deer season or whatever, then we get up high, we try and glass, right? We try and find them and make a stalk ambush.
Yeah.
Where this is completely different, obviously, and then we try to catch them going out to feed again at night. So right before they, dusk to dawn really is our big times where now you're over here in the middle of the day, So I'm just curious. I mean, my thought process at that point is like, all right, well then what are these animals doing in the morning and at night then,
I don't know.
Trying to not get eaten by a lion or something, right?
Well, so where we were actually in the region, there were no lions.
Okay.
The biggest predator in that area is leopards.
Leopards?
100% leopards. Yeah.
That'd be
they're
awesome.
all over. They're all over.
Do they have cheetahs out there and stuff too?
That's more the plains. That'd be
Plains?
more like the Sahara and stuff like that,
okay.
where it's more open. Where we are, it's very lush. There's not large open plains.
Okay.
It's pretty thick down
Pretty
there.
thick, yeah.
But leopards are the number one. In fact, while we were there, we were doing just a general tour on one of the high rack trucks, and they were showing us the Limpopo River and all this stuff. And we actually went to a place that was called Pride Rock. That was a legit Pride Rock. There's footage. There's footage that I have.
That's
of
awesome.
it. But during that, there was tire tracks from the day before because they had driven this road the day before, and then there was literally horizontally across the tire
over the tracks
was drag marks, and the guide saw it immediately and knew what it was. He stopped and he says, "Those were not there last night." He's like, "Let's go follow those," and we're like, "All right." And so then he starts pointing out.
Better be carrying my rifle with me on that one.
Dude, they all carry like what are those nitro?
Like 450 nitrate or whatever it is.
Elephant guns.
Yeah.
100% elephant guns. And so we get out and he starts showing us. He's like leopard print. He goes, "That's a male." And just by the size and stuff, and we follow it, and sure as heck, there's a dead impala underneath a bush, literally with blood still coming out of it. And he's like, "That leopard's watching us right now." And
I'm sure.
And he's like, he's 100% within the area, and they like to keep sight of their kills. He's like, he's going to come back and eat this tonight. We'll put a trail camera on it and keep it, keep tabs on this cat.
That's cool.
And that was the coolest thing ever, because you get there, right?
Right.
People are like, "Oh yeah, there's leopards in the area."
That fresh,
but like,
that recent,
to see, that's like finding a mountain lion kill here in the U.S. And so that was pretty sick. But yeah, things like that.
That's cool, man.
It's cool stuff.
I mean, so what kind of animals? I mean, obviously, so you like you said, there's no lions and no cheetahs, but like predatorial type animals. So you've got your leopards, right?
Yep.
Out there, what about, is there like, I'm just thinking of the big ones that you could think of, right? So what about like a hippo or like a rhino or elephant that are very territorial and
I don't know if
kind
they
of
had
aggressive?
I don't know if they had any rhinos or not. I won't say they didn't. We sure didn't see any. And I honestly, like, the trip overall, I got the royal treatment in terms of animal sightings. I saw everything except for lions and rhinos.
Okay.
That was the only two things I didn't see.
Or crocodiles or anything like that?
I saw tons of crocs. I have so much footage of crocs, especially with the new. I have the new DJI Mavic 3, which has zoom.
Yeah.
So I can zoom in. I can do a regular drone view. I can do a 3x or a 7x or a 28x, and I've got so much footage of giant, 12, 15, 20 foot crocs in the Limpopo River. I saw elephants, giraffes, hippos. I got a video of a bull hippo that's like freshly cut up with giant cuts in them from fighting.
Gores and stuff. Yeah.
From fighting another one. But predators, hippos, hyenas. You hear them all night long.
Yeah.
Especially out in the bush out there when you sleep in these like elevated tents. Kind of, they're really nice. They're posh tents.
Okay.
But you can hear them all night long going off. Jackals, jackals are like comparable to their coyotes.
Yeah, I was gonna say so like a hyena, from what I understand, is
big,
right?
Very big.
They're very big, and then jackals are kind of like the yotes, more or less, right?
If I had to compare them, I mean, there's a big difference still here, but I would say like I would compare a hyena to like a bear, or a wolf or a bear.
Okay,
yeah, and then like I would say like a jackal's to a coyote, and then we have honey badgers. I did see a honey badger. He didn't give a shit. But a honey badger came rolling through one night.
Ooh, what about Pumbaa?
Oh, warthogs? Yeah, there are lots of warthogs for sure.
Those are
I passed
all
on
over, right?
I passed on a few. They were big. In this setting specifically, like when I wanted to hunt, I only wanted to hunt something that my guide got excited about.
Right. Because then like, okay, dang, this is worth it.
Yeah.
Right.
Now that I will caveat, the very first animal that I shot was a very smaller impala. It wasn't like a trophy size by any means, but I shot it specifically because it was a free range, no high fence impala. So like that animal was bred in the African wilderness and walked in. It was the first animal to walk in. It was the first animal to go fully broadside. It was 12 yards. And my guide leaned over and he's like, you know what? We have a legend here. He said, or like a
saying,
tradition, whatever.
Tradition, yeah.
That animal right now standing broadside waiting for you is a gift from the hunting gods. And if you don't shoot it, you'll have bad luck. And I was like, yeah, you trying to push one on me? He's like, no, honestly, like that is a tradition that is here. Like that animal was given to you. We're going to eat that tonight. That was an opportunity. And so he's like, I'm not telling you what to do, but I think you should take it. And I was like, dude, free range Africa. Like, let's go. Like, I came here to shoot stuff.
So obviously this was outside of the ranch then at that point.
Yes. That's
cool.
So we went to multiple different locations while we were there.
That's awesome.
And the first place was totally free range. And that's why the first place we went had elephants and all that stuff. So
that's cool.
And you will not find elephants within some of the ranches and stuff like that. So that was kind of cool. So that one, I let it fly and shot that. And we ate that night. We had, I'm trying to think what it was. I can't remember exactly what that first dish was that night, but we ate it that night and it was amazing.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. Everything that you shoot, you end up eating while you're there.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so we'll kind of get to that point, but also the other thing though is like, some of the animals, like you can't keep the meat, but you can end up keeping other items from it, like the hide, the skulls, all that, right? The horns. But leading up to that, so I mean, what is a lot of the legal things that you're able to do and what you have to be able to go to Africa,
Yeah. As of right now, I mean, I can't remember what it's called.
I remember back in the day, people were like, "Oh, you got to go get shots," this and that and that.
What, like your malaria? I'm assuming
something like that.
As of right now, there's nothing.
Okay.
And you don't have to do anything right now. Yeah. So,
because I remember something back in the day where like, dude, you better make sure you're getting this.
I heard
some
that
sort of vaccine
too.
shot or something like that.
Right. Typhoid fever or any of that stuff. And that is possible. And most of the people that are there, you talk to them, they've all gotten malaria or something or other. But I think, honestly, I recall a lot of the places having medication available for that.
Okay.
I mean, you can take pills or whatever. And if you feel led to, you can go to your doctor beforehand and say, hey, I'm going to Africa. Give me a regimen of stuff for whatever I might run into. And they'll get you a script for it and you can take it with you.
Okay.
Me personally, I didn't care. I just went. It was fine. No requirements, no shots. That's just not my cup of tea. So.
I'm with you. The same way. Oh, yeah.
What you do need, though, is your passport, obviously. Okay. You got to have that. That takes... I mean, good grief. It's all over the board. People were telling me it was taking 12 weeks. I got mine in like 6.
Okay.
So I went to a podunk post office in Black Canyon City where I grew up and went to that because I heard it was faster. And I went there and sure as heck, I was in there and out in like 15 minutes. They sent it. My stuff got back to me pretty darn quick.
Yeah.
And I was good to go. So.
That's sweet.
I didn't have any issues there.
What about like, is there any, so like obviously for us, we have to have a license and then like we get tags, right? For certain animals.
Right.
What about like that situation?
So, no, you don't need a hunting license there. I mean, if you do, the ranch took care of it for us and didn't say anything. You know, they were like, okay, I'm assuming that might have just been within our fee of going.
Okay.
Kind of like how when we went to Texas the first time, they print off your hunting license right there in the office for you.
Right.
It's probably the same thing. There are certain animals that if you killed, you do need a tag for. And so just a caveat to some people, like you might have to pay a deposit for an animal ahead of time. So for instance, for me, when they come and ask you what you're interested in shooting, you need to be very specific of what you're interested in. Cause like I was down to shoot a baboon.
Oh, really?
And you have to write a permit. You have to write you have to write a permit out in order to shoot that. So there are certain animals in Africa that require permits, and there's other ones that don't. Like I don't think impala, like that's their whitetail. I don't think they
that
really
or like a zebra or something.
Yeah, no, they don't care about that. So I don't think those require anything. I do know they said specific ones like a red lechwe
or like an elephant or giraffe, all that.
Yeah. And certain ones, depending on how big, like if you want to shoot an elephant, they're probably going to make you put some cash forward first before you do that.
I would assume,
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, man. Look at you out here.
Yeah. There wasn't any legal requirements for this, but like some things like a giraffe, if you want to shoot one, you have to shoot it within a specific time frame.
Huh.
And that's just a personal ranch choice.
Okay.
Because they're so damn big that if you shoot it too late, they won't be able to get it done in that day, and predators will flock to it.
They'll come in. Yeah.
Hyenas will come and fight for it. And so he said, if you do not kill a giraffe by 11 a.m., we stop the hunt.
Okay.
Because he's like, I'm literally going to have to get all the employees of the ranch to come cut this animal up and get it done before dark so that we can have it done in time and not have to put ourselves in jeopardy. Because like the hyenas don't care. They'll challenge a human for
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, a lot of these animals, I'm sure, will challenge. They don't.
Yep.
They don't. It's not like here or it's almost like Alaska in that sense, right? Where like a bear will walk right up to you.
Exactly.
Or a wolf will walk right up to you, you know, where their human contact is not the same down in the lower 50s.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, you're just an obstacle to them.
yeah. Like, oh, you think you can challenge me? Bring it, dude.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Until they hear the boom.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's crazy. So, I would assume, so obviously like you're saying with like the buffalo, elephant, all that stuff takes a while, to process. So, what's the, you know, like from morning time to sundown? I mean, how is that pretty similar to here too? Then from like 7 to 7 more or less, you know,
in terms of like the hunting and stuff
from the daytime, you know.
Oh, like daylight.
Yeah, daylight. There you go. Jeez.
No, you're fine. Yeah, as far as I can remember, yes. I don't think their days in terms of length really differed very much. It seemed pretty in unison. A lot of the crazy things is like the stars down there are completely different.
Really?
You're not going to find you
won't see the Milky Way.
I don't
you won't
remember.
see the
You'll
Orion's belt.
You'll
like
see
that.
you'll see a galaxy.
Okay.
I don't know if it was the Milky Way or not, but I'm assuming it would be. But like the constellations, all completely different. You're not going to find the Big Dipper. You're not going to see all these things. They're all because you're a different hemisphere.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of cool, but also disorienting because you'd look up at the night sky and you'd be like, whoa, like it was pretty wild. But yeah, in terms of the day length and everything, like all that stuff is pretty similar. I don't think there was any real big difference. Yeah.
Because like Alaska, you know how like,
oh yeah,
because like some days are like in the wintertime, it's, you know, not much sunlight. And in the summertime, you get like 2 hours of nighttime.
I'd say it was like, you know, by 7 o'clock, the sun's peeking up over the horizon.
So it's still pretty normal.
By 7 or 8 p.m., it's probably down by then. So it wasn't anything crazy.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so in that sense, is there any certain regulations where, like, if you, I guess, hunters should be aware of then at that point, you know, like maybe certain time frames? Obviously, like you guys are saying, so you're hunting from about 10 to 3. Mm-hmm. Is there any certain regulations for, you know, people hunting with a bow versus a rifle? somebody crazy enough to maybe try and shoot with a pistol. I don't know,
Yeah,
or a spear or whatever.
No, honestly, I think kind of it was a hands-off approach, really.
It's the Wild West out there.
Yeah. The only thing I can really think of is like on importation. So we were all bow hunting.
Okay.
So we had it very easy. We didn't really have to do anything regulation wise. You show up at the airport, like we could walk through the airport with our bows. They don't really care.
Okay, versus checking in with a rifle.
A rifle's
firearm,
very different.
Yeah. Okay.
We watched, and this is for all those that are listening, hear me out. This is the one thing you need to take away from this podcast. If you are going to go to Africa, you need to make damn sure that your guide or your outfitter is meeting you at the airport if you are hunting with a rifle, because I guarantee they are going to get you out of that airport versus if you're there by yourself trying to get out of there with a gun. They are not.
And the airport's going to just hold on to you there for a while.
They're not going to let you leave. They are not going to let that gun leave without your proper papers and all that stuff. Because I watched a guy that almost lost his stuff because he was there by himself. And he's like, oh, my outfitter told me to fill this out and have it ready and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, no. And he's like, your outfitter needs to come here and meet you here. And he's like, well, I don't know where, like the guy he got screwed.
Yeah,
honestly,
screwed.
He chose the wrong outfit to go with. And so whatever you do, make sure it's somebody that is going to meet you there, that knows the rules and the laws and has the paperwork filled out for you and all that stuff, because they are going to be very, very tough on you and they don't give a crap what you say.
Yeah. I mean, so it's obviously super important to have a very qualified, but a guide that knows, the rules and restrictions, right?
Yep. Yeah. It's just, I think it's their version of the customs and imports basically is the office that you're at.
Having a reputable hunting outfitter,
Yes.
So I mean that's I could see that anywhere here in the States too, where you go out somewhere and you're going off a Joe Blow, somebody in the wall, where it doesn't know much, and the experience is not going to be the same versus going with somebody that
100%.
is going to take their time and walk you through everything and give you that quality experience that you're looking for, especially if you're going across the continent.
Yeah.
To a once in a lifetime hunt.
Well,
so.
then, like, what are you going to do if you're out of luck and this dude's not meeting you there and they're not going to let you leave with your rifle? Like,
yeah. You're
I'm not leaving a.
you're stuck.
God knows how expensive the rifles are that you're taking over. I'm not leaving that at an African airport.
Yeah.
Who knows where the hell that thing's going to go?
Or these bows too that are $3,000 that you're spending. I mean,
fortunately, that like they just say, "Oh, archery, yeah," and you open it up, show them real quick, and then they close it and say, "Okay, go."
Right.
Like they don't care. So it's like, see you.
Right. But yeah, I definitely the importance of a reputable hunting guide and an outfitter, especially just the knowledge of the terrain. Which animals are going to be more mature.
Yep.
Getting you on quality animals to make that experience that much more.
Yeah. Yeah. So. Exactly.
I mean, let's just dive into this next one here. So, what was your mental prep? And did you have any sort of a physical maybe prep going into this? Because, I mean, for me, Africa, in my mind, and I've never been there, but in my mind, it's very kind of rolly, not much hills, not much of like an elk hunt or a mule deer hunt, but kind of a little bit flat. Obviously, you're in wintertime, but you always think of Africa as a super hot, you're going to get sweaty. And so any physical prep into that. And then obviously just the mental mindset of like getting over your jitters, your what do we call it? Flinklies,
Yeah, your flinklies, your little flinklies.
But over that, mental prep to be able to have such an awesome experience.
Terrain. Thick bush, stuff that we're not really
thick bush.
Bush. You're gonna be bush bashing while you're there.
I love it. You're bashing a bunch of bush.
So I mean, just whatever comes along with that. Your general pushing through stuff, and typically though, like
usually with bush, you got to push.
Yep. Typically, they're not gonna let you do. I don't want to say they're not going to let you, but you won't do a whole lot of wandering because there are Cape buffalo that could be waiting for you. But I mean, they will spot and stalk. I did quite a bit.
Okay.
And you always do have to kind of have the right guide too.
Yeah.
If you get an older guide that's in his mid to late 60s, he's not going to want to
doesn't
want
to go walk in. Doesn't want to.
I had a young guy that was, late 30s. That
Okay.
was, down to pound ground.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, dude, I like to move. I hate sitting in a blind. So mental preparation, to speak to that, was me mentally preparing myself that I knew I was going to be
that you're going to have to
sitting
sit,
a lot. Yeah,
right?
Yeah, you just have to. Physical though, like terrain, yeah, there's a lot of flat stuff, but man, they've got some big mountains too. Like
Okay.
it is very mountainous, but you don't really typically hunt a lot of the mountains.
Right.
You're not hunting off of them. You might get up there and glass a little bit, but
Especially if you're going for like a big animal that you can end up spotting pretty good. Yeah, I could see
giraffe or elephant or something.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I could see that. Or herds of animals, stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I always do kind of keep like a certain level of fitness, so like walking 2 to 3 miles is no problem. As long as you can do that, I think you're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing extraneous really required for hunting,
Yeah.
because you have the resource, which is water. So the animals are all going to come to you pretty much.
Right. Okay. I mean, that pretty much in my mind of how I would have kind of thought about it. Definitely a lot of sitting, waiting for that animal, waiting on water, but then just also getting irritated of sitting and getting out and moving and just trying a couple different features like we do in Texas, right?
Right.
We try to do the sitting thing. We because it's successful, right?
Yep.
But you also get bored sometimes, and we're from Arizona. We like to move, you know what I mean? So, trying just different tactics, yeah.
For sure. And like when I wasn't hunting, or if I wasn't hunting or sleeping or eating, I was shooting my bow.
Okay.
The entire time.
Yeah.
They've got ranges at all the places and 3D targets and stuff. And I was just honestly just reps. One, partly because I had newer strings, but two, because when I knew like, dude, if I'm looking at a baboon, like I've drawn down on deer, I know what to expect. I'm still going to get an adrenaline dump, but something about shooting at like something different like this.
Oh yeah. Exotic.
It affects you a lot more, I think, or at least another level of effect from like a deer or something.
I mean, we could talk about that experience, but I mean, you didn't obviously shoot that animal, but the crazy adrenaline pump that you ended up having with that huge animal walking in on you.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, we can talk about that another time too, but
sure.
At that point, you like you just said, so you have all these different species walking in, right?
Yeah.
So you have a zillion different gazelles out there, right? I mean, all these different gazelles and antelopes out there, and all of them are different, all these different types of deer. So at that point, trying to have a little bit of knowledge of what these animals are going into it before you go and shoot an animal, and next thing you know, it's a $40,000, not that extent, but $1,000 animal versus a $7,000 animal.
Sure.
Just because you're like, I thought it was this one or whatever, and next thing you know, I'm like, hey.
There is some good things to know in that sense. Is I would say, relatively speaking, I mean, obviously everybody's income is different, but I would say relatively speaking, the animals over there are fairly cheap. Like an impala is $300, a baboon's $300.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think the kudu, shot a kudu. I think that was around 4,200. I think.
Okay.
But a kudu in the U.S. is like 15.
Yeah, I was gonna say over 10. Over 10. Yeah.
Yeah. So relatively speaking, I'd say they're fairly cheap. There are some instances where like originally I wanted to shoot a sable.
You and me both.
Yeah. And I still do. That's still probably, I just think they're so beautiful. Like you get a jet black bull that's dominant.
With the horns sweeping back.
Big
like
old
that.
scimitar horns.
They're badass. Yeah.
Caveat that is good to know and is a good question to ask your guide when you go over is be like, hey, if this thing comes in and it's an absolute trophy, top 5 SCI scoring animal, I need you to let me know. Because a sable was $4,000. But I know a lady that shot a top 5 SCI sable that came in, and that's a $25,000 sable. That's not a $4,000 sable. Yeah, so you better be careful.
So that's almost like, so if you go to like a ranch in Texas, And they've got these different caliber, more or less, quality of whitetails.
Yep.
You know, you can go and shoot a whitetail that's 140-inch whitetail, and you're still spending, you know, $225, $3,000.
Yep.
Or you go and shoot a 300-inch plus whitetail that's just nasty and got stickers and everything all over them. You're paying up
well over
20 plus grand,
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah.
I could see that definitely being in a sense of
There is
knowing.
a large gap though, I will say. Like,
Okay.
I mean, it's got to be an absolute monster before it tips into that usually. And they don't really.
And for somebody that's never been there, right? I mean, we're used to, you know, seeing, okay, yeah, the horns are wide, they're tall, they're, you know, he's a 12 point versus an 8 point, you know, obviously. But with a sable or like some sort of an antelope, that's a little bit tougher because you're not used to seeing that animal. You've never ended up hunting that animal before.
Yeah.
If this is your first time.
So how do you judge that for size?
So judging this animal is got to be way harder for somebody that's never done it. You know, especially with these horns, they don't have, you know, 3-4 kickers. You know, all you're going off of is the rounded bosses. You know, and then how high and how long.
Right.
So yeah, I could definitely see, you know, oh shoot, dang it. I guess I'm gonna have to bust out the credit card on this one.
Yeah. You better be careful.
I think my sponsor's paying for this one.
Well, once I found out about that, because there was a sable that was at this spot every day. And he was he was the herd bull.
Okay.
And so once I found out about that, I was like, oh, I was like, is that a $4,000 sable or is that a $25,000? And they're like, no. They're like, you're good. They're like, he's close, but you're good.
But you're good.
Yeah. I was like, okay. Like, I got to make sure first before we go shoot this thing.
Are we going after this one or not, man? Because I can definitely see that.
Yep.
That's funny. Well, yeah. So yeah, I mean, knowing the importance, doing some research, you know, what all kind of environment, the animals that are going to be there, and for your own, you know, health, safety wise, you know, like you said, you when you're walking around and having the important guides that know the area, but if you're going on a spot and stock, you know, you could walk into, you know, the Black Death, what they call it, you know, the Cape Buffalo.
Yep.
Or you can go around the corner and there's a river and you got crocodiles, you got hippos, you know, all these different animals that want to kill you and eat you, you know, versus here, we're like, I'm not worried about no rattlesnake or, you know, I'm not worried about a bear or, you know, here, really the only thing we're worried about is a mountain lion that can sneak up on you and, you know.
Even then, it's not that big of a concern.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's definitely a lot of knowledge to be learned to keep you safe.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, like at our first spot, we had a elephant come in at 6 yards, standing in front of our blind, and he's like, "There is a chance that if this thing wins us, he'll charge the blind and kill us." And I was like, "Oh, great!"
Right. But that was kind of the scenario where I was like, talk about it. But you know, I mean, I know if you've reminisced about this situation in that scenario going on, but you know, all of a sudden this, you know, 1,000 plus, I mean, what, more than 1,000, 2,000 plus animal probably walking in 6 yards from you. I'm sure your shorts were a little wet.
Oh, dude, that was honestly, the only point of the trip that I felt genuinely concerned for my life.
For your life.
100%. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, like the guide was honest. He's like, yeah, there's a chance. But I mean, honestly, in hindsight though, I see the chance being a lot less than, you know, he was realistic and being like, yeah, there is a chance. Well, okay. You know, you could die in a car wreck too, but I don't think I don't think it was as dire as I hyped myself up to be. But it was a bull first off. So they're going to be, I could be wrong, but I'm assuming they're probably a little more testy than a female.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
more aggressive, right?
Yeah. He was getting aggressive and pissed at just the impalas that were around. He did this thing where they kind of like a guttural sound where then they start flapping their ears. And it's basically like, hey,
just showing his presence.
Off.
Yeah. Hey,
like
I'm big
because they were trying to eat the alfalfa that was there and stuff. And I mean, long story short, lo and behold, he tried to rip out some piping, and the guy didn't want him to. So this guy with the world's biggest pair of balls walked out of the blind and starts yelling at the elephant. And we're like, me and the other guy
what?
That I'm working with, Cooper. We both look at each other. We're like, what the hell's wrong with this dude? He's like, oi, piss off, and he's waving, and he does have his elephant gun, but he's like. But to speak to the testament of their size, that thing, it did turn and run.
Right.
And when it booked it, I'm talking like foot wide tree trunks.
Oh, yeah.
Snapped like they were twigs. And he just, because the elephant just booked it into the brush. And I remember seeing trees just, and you know, I've heard trees break during storms. That's what it sounded like as this thing was running through the bush. And it was like,
awesome.
Holy crap, dude. Like,
I mean, they're dinosaurs, dude. They're dinosaurs.
that thing is massive. So I just remember being like, holy cow. And I got really cool footage of all of it too. So that was pretty sweet. But
I mean, that's like you said, yeah, the cream of the crop, man.
of course, I'm like, if I'm going to die, I'm filming all this. So,
Oh, man.
that's what I was there
Somebody's
for.
got to find the footage, but I'm filming it.
Well, the SD card will probably live through it. It's pretty flat. So they can find it next to my flat
Dude,
body.
talk about, though, like a majestic, you know, that is quintessential, majestic, you know, vision and something that you will never, ever let down and live out in your life. You know?
For sure.
That'll be stored with you forever. So that's awesome, man.
Yep. That's pretty sweet.
I can only imagine that. I'll watch it through videos.
That honestly,
Like, oh yeah, you know, dude, my best friend Steven, he got that close to the mill fence like that one time, man.
that'd be one of those things where I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm good at watching your video. I don't need to do it myself.
I'm already shaking right now, man. Oh man. But you know, in that sense, you've got these huge animals, right? Mm-hmm. But then you've also got some very small animals, you know, petite, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But you've got these, you know, real small animals. I don't know. Do they have like those little? Well, you said like a red lechwe. Are those like the real small deer?
No, red lechwe are big.
Okay.
You're probably thinking of like the tiny 10. I think they're called dikers.
Dikers, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I passed on one I should have shot.
but they're like real small. They got like little pin horns, you know.
probably a little bit larger than your thumbs.
right?
For antlers. Yeah. And that's a big one.
I've seen those before. So you've got really, really, really small animals in that spectrum. But then you've also got, you know, Cape buffalo that everybody, you know, that's one of their dream hunts, that with the elephant, stuff like that. But and then you got some in between, like you said, like a kudu or a sable.
Yep.
An impala, which is probably comparable to like a whitetail, right?
Yeah.
So you got a very huge variety of these animals.
Oh, yeah.
What do you have to bring in your arsenary? You know what I mean? Or in your armor? Well, did I say that right?
Arsenal.
Arsenary.
Yeah.
Arsenary. In your arsenary.
That's
man.
armory and arsenal. Arsenary.
Arsenary is fire.
Arson, yeah. I think basically, like I would not have shot a Cape buffalo with my setup.
Okay.
Maybe I could have gotten away with it, but I wouldn't have. I was comfortable shooting everything up to like a Cape buffalo and a giraffe. I probably wouldn't have. Everything else would have been fine.
And so in that setup, what were you using?
Yeah, so I was still drawing. I don't know. Do you remember? Was I still drawing 80 pounds at that time?
I don't remember.
I don't think I was.
I don't remember, to be honest.
I was drawing at least like 73. I think I may have, if I backed it down, it was my 70 pound mods and it was a little over 70. If not, I was drawing 80. But so basically I did overcompensate. So you want to decide what's the biggest thing I'm going to shoot and you want to prep for that. And then anything else, I would say you're just overcompensating for.
Okay.
I shot.
So yeah, like a Coues white-tailed deer with a 300 Win Mag, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I pulled a Jake. Yeah. I shot a kudu and it I wouldn't say it definitely didn't pass through, but in the video you can see it poking through the opposite shoulder, which is good enough. That's plenty.
Right.
You know, it was all the way through.
Shish kebabbed him.
Shish kebabbed him. Yep. Shot 2 impalas. The first one, it was kind of a weird thing. I'm not sure what happened, but the second one, it blew through him.
Okay.
You know, if I had hit the baboon better, same thing. It would have blew through him.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
that's crazy.
But yeah, everything else it would have been fine for. The sable would have been fine. Nyala would have been fine.
So-
Even an eland, I would have shot an eland too.
So go over then. I mean, what did you have? So obviously your weight, I think you're probably somewhere around maybe 70, 75, probably at that point.
Poundage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, because I don't think you're still at 80 plus, but
I don't think so.
you're probably around 75 pounds draw weight, right?
Yep.
The arrows that we use, you're still using the same arrow, right?
VAP TKO.
Yeah.
Yep.
So on average, with 100 grain weight, it's around like 420, 430. Were you using a 150 or 120?
I think I was at 445.
Okay, so you were using probably
Because
like
I did
120.
upgrade to 125
Yeah.
grain broadheads. And I had a mixture of broadheads. I had the Afflictor K2s
Fixed.
for fixed.
Yep.
Yep. And so they will tell you if you should or should not use a fixed or a mechanical. They'll be like, oh yeah, you can get away with a mechanical on this. And then, oh no, this, you have to use a fixed for that. So when you go to Africa, bring both.
Okay.
And be prepared to use both because I shot my Impala with a Evolution.
Okay.
And that was fine. Blew through it. It's like shooting a whitetail with a mechanical,
Right,
no big
right.
deal. But used the fixed for my kudu because you want to poke through it as much as possible
Right,
and just
which
have
is-
a fixed blade.
So I've heard you say this too. Is it very comparable to like an elk?
Bigger.
Bigger.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. A little bigger. Yeah.
Okay, that's what she said.
Tell-
I see you trying to impress. I get you.
Body wise, I'd say they're probably about the same thickness.
Okay,
Like,
but the hide is maybe thicker or something, or what?
No, I would say it's tough because I was in an elevated blind too, but they still feel taller.
Okay.
They feel much taller and part of that could be the illusion of the horns
Right,
because their
right.
horns are way tall.
Okay.
But I do feel like they stand taller than an elk.
Taller.
Yeah, for sure. But I'd say body wise, like just judging off the torso with no legs, about the same size.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. It took 5 guys to move it. So
I don't. It takes me to move it now. Come on.
it wasn't no slouch. When my guide got excited, I knew. I was like, that's the one.
Yeah,
They
just
have,
my arm. Yeah.
they have this saying in Africa, like we'll be like, oh, that's a tank, or that's a toad, or
That's a beast,
that's
yeah.
a beast. He's
Yeah.
giant. They'll say, oh, that is machine. That is machine. I'm like,
Bert Kreischer over here.
yeah. So they'll say
Machine.
that, and as soon as they say that, you know that you've got something good.
Oh yeah, is this one a machine?
Yep. And so
I'd be abusing that every time.
I had a different guide for my kudu versus my Impala.
Okay.
And so my Impala came in and he's like, dude, that one right there is machine. And I was like, all right. Like, I had already shot one Impala, but like this one was noticeably
Huge, yeah.
massive. I think my first one was like 19 inches. My second one was like 27.
Okay.
And
Dang.
anything over like lower 20s is good.
Good.
I saw some 23s and stuff. And he's like, oh no. He's like, wait, we'll find bigger. And then a 27 walked down. And I was like, dead. So then I shot the kudu. I asked him, I said, what's good for kudu?
Is this machine?
Yeah. I was like, is this machine? He's like, yeah, for sure. Because there was 2 there actually we had to pick from. One was taller and much bigger, but one was wider and they look cool when they go wide. Yeah.
That's kind of like an antelope, like a pronghorn. Some of
Yeah.
them go tall
Yep.
and narrow, and some of them go super wide.
Yep. So it's just
That's
like,
cool.
what do you like? What's your preference? And I asked him, I said, well, like, I was just judging off of inches. I said, well, like inches, what do you think? And he's like, oh, that one's probably about, I can't remember what he said, 56, 57 or something like that. And I was like, okay. He's like, the other one, maybe 53, but he's wide and it looks cool, and it's like, oh yeah. He's like, just which one do you like? And,
Yeah.
he's like, well, let's also see which one gives us the opportunity.
Right.
Too. So
right. Yeah. Both quality bulls.
tall
right,
boy messed up.
Oh yeah. Heck yeah.
Is there?
Well, I mean, as far as the rest of it, optics, gear, any kind of difference, or just kind of the same, same type of thing, or is there anything somebody should bring that you might not normally bring, or?
Yeah, you're not bringing your pack.
Okay.
Leave
What
that
about
out.
a tripod?
If you're filming, yeah, you can
Okay.
bring your tripod, but otherwise, like if you're just purely hunting, no, you don't need it.
Yeah.
They'll have everything they need for you. And I guess if you want a glass just for funsies, you can, but
Should I bring my flip flops? Something
honestly, it's crazy how laxed they are there.
I could see that. Yeah.
When I shot my kudu, my guide was smoking a cigarette in the blind. 100%. And it was like,
What?
Yeah. He's sitting in the blind smoking a cigarette. I was like, whatever. I'm a firm believer that that's not a scent that's going to really set them
Right,
off. I don't
right.
think that really matters. That's comparable to like standing over a campfire and smelling like
tobacco,
campfire.
yeah.
Yeah. And, the wind was the right direction anyways. It wasn't going down towards the kudu.
Not like you're ripping farts, stuff like that, right?
No, I didn't have any of those issues. But, even during their winter, it was still hot for sure. During the days, it'd get up to mid 70s and you're sitting in a metal or a concrete blind and, it gets
And you're probably layering up because it was a little chilly going in or whatever.
Oh, yeah. In the mornings, you're wearing a jacket.
Yeah.
But by the evenings, at mid-afternoon, I just had, a long sleeve merino wool and a lighter summer pant. And I was good to go. That's all you really needed.
Were you camoed up or just,
Yeah.
There's always that saying of like, if you're hunting in a blind, you want dark colors, right? Yep. Solid dark colors.
People tell you to wear black in a blind
or dark brown or whatever. Yeah.
So if your main goal is to kill a baboon,
okay,
or a monkey, they have phenomenal, I would say, verbatim human-like vision. In the sense that they can see like HDR and they can see into the dark like we can.
Okay.
All right. Now your average like kudu and stuff like that, they can't see they can't see into the blind. My guide told me, he goes, do not draw your bow until that monkey puts his head down to drink water because they can see right into this blind. And we actually had 2 instances where I was drawn down on another one the first time and it saw me moving. So they can see right into the blind perfectly. So that would probably be a better instance where I was like, if you're like, I really want to kill a baboon, take some sort of swap out shirt that or something that is black that will mask you. And I even had to wear my face mask.
I was going to say, what about like face coverage?
Yes.
Yeah.
100% for the baboons or the monkeys, you have to wear a face mask. They will see your face in a heartbeat.
That'd be an awesome experience to try and harvest a baboon.
Everything else, whatever. I was just wearing camo, my scree gear and stuff like that. And you some of the guys would paint their faces up and whatnot and to teach their own, however you want to approach it. It's not really a right or wrong way, but I didn't, the first Impala that I shot, I wasn't wearing a face mask. I was wearing Ariat boots and blue jeans and a camo long sleeve. And that was it with that. So
that's pretty cool, man. No, that's awesome. Yep. I mean, the experience that you've been able to have through that. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in another episode here.
Yeah. Part 2.
Part 2. Yeah. It's going to be awesome. If you guys have been following along here, Stephen been able to share his experience in Africa, a truly, once in a lifetime experience that people sometimes never get to have the opportunity. But so it's very, very, very cool that you've been able to share this with us and people that are looking into possibly going into Africa, what they can expect, like you said, research, obviously having the right kind of a guide, knowing the animals, what to wear in what to wear in your blah blah.
Yeah,
but in your blind. Yep. I was trying to think of the word blah blah blah. In your blind.
He needs another pour well
But we're gonna talk about, in this next episode, it's gonna be another great topic, but expecting what to expect of trying to get everything back home. I know there's some logistics with that. And talk about some of the more experiences that he's had along the way. So.
We'll cover what species are harvested and all that stuff, and just kind of the finer details of all that, and then I guess the hunting story of it.
Right. So. We'll twist his arm a little bit more and try and squeeze him out a little bit more.
Get some
see what we can get. But cool. Well, thank you guys for listening to this episode, and stay tuned for another episode of Bowhunting AZ.
Heck yeah. We'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thanks.
See you.
Thank you so much for listening to the Bowhunting AZ podcast. Please be sure to subscribe to the podcast and smash those 5 stars on iTunes or Spotify and leave a little review at the bottom. It'll really help us out. For our short films, go subscribe over on YouTube. Just search Bowhunting AZ. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Bowhunting AZ. Good luck to everyone this season. Thank you again for listening. We'll catch you in the next episode.